was a divine maiden symbolizing auspiciousness, yet on our wedding night, my husband died suddenly beside my pillow. Overnight, I became a husband-killing star everyone shunned. My reputation shattered, I kept his widow's vow for a lifetime, supporting his family with my dowry through 10 grueling years. As death approached, I saw my husband return with a beautiful young woman and 2 children. He beamed triumphantly. I feigned death back then. I wanted to live in seclusion with my true love amidst nature, and also to see how the lofty goddess would endure a living widowhood, playing the role of a chaste maiden. His mistress smiled seductively. Goddess, the husband you mourned for 10 years now spends his nights with me. Look how radiant I am from his nourishment, unlike you, old widow. The 2 children gathered around my sickbed, clapping and laughing. Sucker. Sucker. This is the sucker father and mother always teased us about. I watched helplessly as the 4 of them lived in blissful harmony within the home I had painstakingly built, and died filled with resentment. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn to the day before my husband's fake death. I was in the palace praying for the gravely ill old emperor. This time, I told His Majesty, Your Majesty, to recover, you need only use the heart of a golden child born in an auspicious year, month, and day, and who died at an auspicious hour, as medicine. This servant's husband was born in such an auspicious year and month. This servant has calculated that he will die suddenly on our wedding night, and the night of our marriage is the most auspicious hour. With tears in my eyes, I declared, once he dies, this humble servant will personally extract his still warm heart to brew the medicine that prolongs your Majesty's life. Main text, lying on the dragon bed, the ailing Emperor Xingyuan heard my words and his eyes suddenly flashed with sharp brilliance. You claim Wen Xingyan will perish tomorrow during the auspicious hour of the bridal chamber? I bowed my head. This is what the divination reveals, and it is Wen Xingyan's destined fate. If your Majesty doubts it, you may verify it tomorrow night during the wedding. Tormented by heart ailments for years, by middle age, Emperor Xingyuan had abandoned the Imperial Medical Bureau's methods, turning instead to immortals and Taoist teachings in pursuit of longevity. In my previous life, at this very moment, the Emperor, desperate and clutching at straws, heeded the words of a demonic sorcerer. To prolong his life, he ordered the collection of the heart's blood from 100 infants for his medicine. He had exhausted every means to cling to life. As the divine maiden personally chosen by the imperial preceptor, I had accurately foretold several natural disasters. Now, when I told him consuming a heart could extend his life, he naturally believed me. Emperor Xingyuan coughed hoarsely twice, his voice raspy as he demanded, When Xingyan is your betrothed? Would you truly spare his heart to cure this sovereign? I feigned profound reluctance yet spoke with righteous resolve, as your Majesty's subject, he owes you his loyalty. The Emperor of Xingyuan closed his eyes in satisfaction. If he truly dies on our wedding night tomorrow, you shall extract his heart for my medicine. Remember, it must be fresh. I await it. Your servant obeys. Tears welling in my eyes, I vowed, once he is dead, this humble servant will personally extract his heart while it is still warm to prolong your Majesty's life. As I left the palace, Wen Xingyan stood waiting beside his carriage at the gate, braving the snow. In the dead of winter, he took off his own cloak and draped it over me. Passers-by couldn't help but gaze with envy. General Wen and the divine maiden are truly devoted to each other, the passing deputy minister of rights couldn't help but praise. When Xingyan dramatically took my hand, Deputy Minister, remember to come drink the wedding wine with me and the divine maiden tomorrow. Certainly. Certainly. After the deputy minister departed, Wen Xingyan helped me into the carriage. The moment we entered, he chattered away about all the details to note for tomorrow's grand wedding ceremony. The snow has piled thick these days. When you step down from the bridal sedan tomorrow, you needn't touch the ground yourself. Wait for your husband to carry you, don't let the winter snow dampen your shoes and socks. Had I not died once before, how could I have imagined that this considerate man before me had already impregnated his concubine behind my back? His tricks for charming women were endless. He produced a red bridal veil, you love pearls. I personally embroidered several South Sea pearls onto your veil. My dear, please don't mind my clumsy stitches. The few South Sea pearls adorning the veil were pure white and dazzlingly bright. After his fake death in my past life, I treasured this veil carefully. But the following year, the pearls began to peel. Only then did I realize Wen Xingyan had embroidered nothing but dyed river pearls onto the veil. Wen Xingyan's love was like these river pearls, packaged in pure, flawless white, deeply moving. Yet once the surface was peeled away, the base nature beneath was laid bare. In my past life, I was deceived by this very sincerity. After he staged his death, my heart was torn apart, truly believing I had cursed Wen Xingyan to his grave. So I observed widowhood for 10 years, using my dowry to settle the general's mansion's accumulated debts. I poured my heart into launching my brother's career after he lost his elder sibling, and ensured my sister married well. 10 years later, when I lay gravely ill, my days numbered, Wen Xingyan returned alive. I was barely over 30, yet my hair had turned entirely white. Wen Xingyan, however, still had jet black hair, radiant and full of life. Standing by my sickbed, he spoke with triumph. Back when the general's residence was deep in debt, I was a brute who knew only battle, unwilling to manage the household accounts. Knowing the divine maiden's dowry came from the Liu family, I knew it would be lavish, a dowry fit for a princess. But using my wife's dowry to pay off debts would have tarnished my reputation. He took the hand of the woman beside him, but by then, my heart already belonged to Yin Yang. A month before our wedding, she was already carrying my child. I only wanted to live a secluded life with Yin Yang, so I staged my own death. On our wedding night, her husband died suddenly by her side. True to her divine reputation, the auspicious goddess was torn down from her pedestal by gossip. Everyone cursed you as a husband-killing star. His Majesty is most sensitive to such rumors. You were destined to become the next imperial female preceptor, yet an imperial edict ordered you to observe lifelong widowhood for me. When I heard this, my heart ached, yet. He paused, then broke into a malicious grin. It felt exceptionally satisfying. After all, what man could ever force a noble, sacred goddess to live as a widow and play the virtuous martyr? Especially since I only feigned death, your widowhood is nothing but a joke within a joke. Trampling a woman's life brought this man an unprecedented thrill. The arrogant, triumphant grin of Wen Xingyan from my past life twisted and merged with his current mask of feigned affection. I wanted to slit his throat with a single stroke. Yet Wen Xingyan suddenly embraced me. Anning, if I were to die, would you still love me forever? Would you wait for me forever? Suppressing my hatred, I countered, why ask this now? Perhaps because happiness came too suddenly. Thinking I could marry you tomorrow feels like a dream, inevitably making me anxious and fearful. On the eve of our wedding in my past life, he had spoken these very words to me in the carriage. Back then, I was utterly moved, truly believing his deep affection was the source of his unease. Only now do I understand, he was merely confirming that after his fake death, I would mourn him as a widow and clean up the mess left behind at the general's mansion. Of course I will. I embraced Wen Xingyan tightly. If my husband dies, I shall never remarry. I will remain faithful to you alone. Wen Xingyan was deeply moved. I knew it. Anning is utterly devoted to me. My heart belongs to no one but you. I smiled faintly. Is that so? Then when you feign death, I'll personally pluck out your heart, just to see. The wedding proceeded as scheduled. The general's residence buzzed with celebration. When the auspicious hour for consummation arrived, I touched the figure beside me. Wen Xingyan had indeed ceased breathing. His face was deathly pale, limbs ice cold, eyes tightly shut, pulse faint and nearly imperceptible. Only after living this life again did I understand, his convincing feigned death came from ingesting the life-extinguishing pill. Once ingested, the life-extinguishing pill seals all 7 orifices for 7 days and nights, inducing a state of apparent death. Before I could raise the alarm, my mother-in-law, Lady Wenqin, barged in under the pretext of bringing a sobering potion. She came prepared. Before I could speak, she was already wailing and wringing her hands. Oh no! The groom has died suddenly. This bride is a husband-killing demon. The general's close relatives swarmed like flies drawn to filth, responding to her cry and closing in. Soon, guests from the front hall who hadn't finished drinking rushed in upon hearing the commotion. They saw me in my wedding attire, while Wen Xingyan appeared to be sleeping, yet had actually been dead for quite some time. Several imperial physicians and the mansion's own doctors stepped forward to take his pulse. After feeling his wrist, they all shook their heads. The general has simply been overworked. This joyous occasion has overwhelmed him. Though the life-extinguishing pill was a rare secret concoction, the Imperial Medical Academy's expertise meant they could tell the difference between a genuine death and a feigned one. In my past life, when Xingnian's sudden death caught me utterly unprepared. As a divine maiden, I had studied fate and the ways of heaven since childhood under the old Grand Preceptor. Thus, I believed in the notion of clashing destinies. Though our birth charts had been matched before the wedding, fate is unpredictable. I truly believed my own destiny had killed Wen Xingnian. Consumed by grief and self-blame, I failed to notice anything amiss. Now, scrutinizing those two imperial physicians, I quickly recognized them. Zhang He, the physician from Zhang's family, had been an intimate of my mother-in-law, Lady Wen Qin. As for Physician Li, he had embezzled medicinal supplies from the Imperial Medical Bureau years ago, only quashed by the Wen family's intervention. The household physician, needless to say, was originally from the general's residence. Naturally, he wouldn't expose the master family's fake death scheme. With all three physicians declaring Wen Xingnian dead, the matter was considered settled. The Wen family immediately erupted in fury. Second brother Wen Xingzhou lunged forward, pointing at me, "Sister-in-law. You claim to be a divine maiden. How could you curse your husband to death? You killed my elder brother." Third sister Wen Xingro began wailing, "My elder brother was a great hero who fought enemies and defended our nation. He should have lived 100 years. Now he's been cursed to death by a so-called divine maiden. Lu Anning, you must remain a widow for my brother for the rest of your life." Madame Wen collapsed over Wen Xingnian's body, wailing, "My son. My son. Your father died young on the battlefield. Your mother raised you 3 siblings through hardship and toil. We finally saw you achieve greatness, you were the pillar of our Wen family. Now you've been killed by a woman? How am I supposed to live? I might as well follow you. In the next life, we'll be mother and son again." As she spoke, she lunged toward a pillar. A crowd rushed to restrain her, and the bridal chamber descended into utter chaos. In my past life, the Wen family had thrown themselves into such desperate turmoil solely to extract those 4 words from me: "I willingly accept widowhood." Behind that vow of widowhood lay the inevitable repayment of debts to the Wen family using my dowry. This time, I watched Wen Qin's suicide attempt with cold indifference, not moving an inch. Seeing my indifference, Lady Wen Qin deliberately turned her head and aimed for the nearest pillar beside me. The Wen siblings were merely acting alongside their mother, their attempts to stop her were half-hearted. As Lady Wen Qin was about to collide with the pillar, I remained utterly unmoved. Now, Wen Qin sure abandoned her suicide attempt. Wiping her tears, she turned and pointed at my nose, cursing, "You venomous woman. Killing my son wasn't enough, now you want to watch me die. They say the divine maiden pities all beings. What kind of divine maiden are you?" Wen Xingnian was, after all, a general who had earned military honors. His death on his wedding night left everyone present deeply grieved. Amidst the sea of sorrow, I laughed. I pushed away Lady Wen Qin's hand with one palm. "I didn't stop you. And you didn't actually kill yourself, did you? You dare talk back. You're cursed to kill your husband, that's a capital offense for a woman. A grave sin. You'll be sent to the 18th layer of hell. Wen Xingnian didn't die because of me. I declared with full conviction, last night I cast a divination. Wen Xingnian's death was predestined by heaven. It was the calamity inscribed in his own fate, inescapable. Whether he married me or not, he would have died at this hour tonight, because this was his destiny. Seeing I wouldn't fall for their trap, the Wen family grew frantic. When Xingzhou shouted, "You're lying. My elder brother was strong and healthy, how could he die so young?" When Xingro lunged forward, her hand flying toward my face. "How dare you curse my brother? You demoness! Now that he's dead, you say such things. Have you no conscience?" Guests nearby joined in, "Indeed. Divine maiden, General Wen died on the very night of your wedding. Since ancient times, a husband's death on his wedding night signifies the bride's husband-killing curse. Are you now speaking to absolve yourself? Unless the divine maiden can produce proof, you remain a husband-killing star. Even if tonight's events reach the emperor's ears, the blame will fall squarely on you, divine maiden. An imperial edict has arrived. Just as the crowd was denouncing me, a eunuch's loud proclamation echoed through the chamber as he entered the bridal chamber bearing the edict. All present knelt prostrate on the floor. Seeing that it was the emperor's trusted eunuch, Dihai, delivering the decree, Lady Wenqin immediately stepped forward. "May I ask, eunuch, is this edict addressed to Liu Anning?" Dihai replied, "His Majesty has already heard of the upheaval at the general's residence. This imperial decree naturally concerns the marital affairs between the divine maiden and Wenqin." Madame Wen's eyes lit up. Then this decree must be blaming Liu Anning for being a husband killer and stripping her of her divine maiden title. Thus, Liu Anning would have to remain a widow for Wenqin for the rest of her life. And the Liu family's lavish dowry would naturally become the Wen family's possession. As the Wen family gloated, I deliberately pressed further, "Mother-in-law, are you certain Xingyan is truly gone?" Fearing I might notice something, Wenqin hurriedly declared loudly, "My son's breath has ceased, his limbs are cold." The imperial physician confirmed it, "My son is dead. Do you still intend to turn the tables on me? Is that so? Second brother, third sister, repeat before this imperial edict held by eunuch Dihai, what happened to your eldest brother?" "You cursed our eldest brother to death," the siblings declared in unison. Excellent. To regard an imperial edict as the emperor himself, lying before it equates to lying before the throne. Then, when Wenqin's feigned death is exposed, every member of the Wen family will be guilty of the capital offense of deceiving the emperor. Eunuch Dihai proclaimed the imperial edict in a loud voice. "By the mandate of heaven, the emperor decrees." I was shocked to learn of Wenqin's sudden death on his wedding night. General Wen's military achievements were illustrious during his lifetime. I deeply mourn the loss of such a pillar of the state. Madame Wenqin wiped away tears as she pleaded, "My Xingyan was a great general, a mighty hero. Your Majesty, have mercy. You must command Liu Anning to observe lifelong widowhood before my son's spirit tablet." Eunuch Dihai scolded impatiently, "The imperial decree is not yet finished." "Lady Wenqin, how dare you interrupt?" Lady Wenqin paled and immediately knelt prostrate on the ground. Yet she felt a secret triumph within, certain this decree would favor the general's household. Indeed, it was so. A woman who brought misfortune upon her husband faced the death penalty. Even if she possessed great merit, she would be branded with shame for causing her husband's death. In my previous life, after Wenqin feigned death, the emperor immediately issued an edict stripping me of my divine maiden title, condemning me to lifelong mourning robes to atone for his death. Thus, my first act upon rebirth was to convince the emperor that Wenqin deserved to die, and that his demise would greatly benefit the emperor. In this way, the frail old emperor briefly became my ally. Sure enough, the imperial decree stated, yet the death of Wenqin had been foretold by the divine maiden long before. It must be the will of heaven, blameless to any mortal. Wenqin was born in a propitious year, month, and day, and perished at the auspicious hour of his wedding night. He was the golden child destined to heal the dragon's body. Command the divine maiden Liu Anning to extract Wenqin's heart organ for my medicinal use. The Wen family shall be greatly rewarded. Let the officials carry out this decree." The Wen family gasped in shock. Eunuch! What did you say? What did His Majesty say?" The emperor specifically ordered that the heart be extracted while still warm. Eunuch Dihai paid no further heed to the Wen family, instead retrieving a sharp dagger from the tray and handing it to me. "The divine maiden symbolizes the nation's auspiciousness. His Majesty commands that she perform the task personally, and it must be done while the heart is still warm." As commanded. I took the dagger and approached Wenqin's corpse. With a few swift motions, I tore open his clothes, pressing the blade against Wenqin's heart. The life-extinguishing pill only severed hearing and touch, so Wenqin knew exactly what I was about to do. The feigned death Wenqin's brow suddenly knitted together. Only I noticed the subtle shift, but I pretended not to see it, holding the blade, sharp enough to slice through iron, directly over his heart. "No. You can't." Madame Wen rushed forward, her face drained of color. "You can't do this to Xingyan. This is His Majesty's command. I'm merely following orders. Are you, mother-in-law, suggesting we defy the emperor?" As I spoke, the tip of my blade sliced through the skin over Wenqin's heart, drawing a single drop of blood. Madame Wen's voice trembled with panic. "You're going to cut him open?" Xingyan isn't. Nothing. I cut her off. Mother-in-law, you wouldn't be suggesting Xingyan isn't dead, would you? You declared his death before the imperial decree, and His Majesty issued consolation orders. To retract that now, mother-in-law, is treason punishable by death. Madame Wen's face drained of color. The Wen siblings, realizing the gravity, abruptly covered Wen Qin's mouth. When Xingro whispered urgently, "Mother, you mustn't panic. Lu Anning loves our eldest brother so deeply, she could never bring herself to destroy his intact body. You must stay calm." Exactly. That's right. Wen Xingzhou echoed. Now that our brother's feigned death has alarmed the emperor, if this is exposed, our entire family will be guilty of treason. Rest assured, his death is so convincing Lu Anning couldn't possibly see through it. I think she's just struggling to accept his death and testing us. Sure enough, Lu Anning's knife halted. The Wen family members in the know secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Even the furrow between Wen Xingyan's eyebrows, who was feigning death, smoothed out. Suddenly, the goddess's blade slid downward, coming to rest at Wen Xingyan's crotch. In full view of everyone, the goddess snapped her fingers in calculation before addressing eunuch Dihai. My divination reveals that Wen Xingyan had carnal relations with other women during his lifetime. He is no longer a virgin. To provide medicine for His Majesty, his body must be purified. Eunuch Dihai, what does the divine maiden suggest? Before extracting his heart for His Majesty's medicine, my blade hovered over Wen Xingyan's manhood. My eyes held laughter, yet tears welled as I declared, I can only bear the pain and first castrate this defiled lower half. Hold! Before I could strike, 3 physicians urgently intervened. In my many years of practice, I've never heard of a human heart being used as medicine. This is trading one life for another. Precisely. Could the divine maiden be deceiving His Majesty? Extracting a heart for medicine defies the heavens. The divine maiden seeks to harm His Majesty. The 3, paid to do their job, were diligent indeed. Their arguments even sowed doubt in the eunuch who delivered the imperial decree. I looked at the 3, your words sound plausible, but why has His Majesty's heart ailment persisted for years without cure? As the divine maiden, I naturally employ profound methods revealed by heaven's way. How dare you question me? Both imperial physician Li and the court physician were rendered speechless by my retort. Imperial physician Zhang, the deputy chief physician and a childhood sweetheart of Lady Wen Qin, saw her desperate state. He stepped forward to shield Wen Xingyan's corpse, risking defiance of the imperial decree to speak. Before the divine maiden severs his roots and extracts his heart, she must first prove Wen Xingyan truly possesses the golden child's physique capable of curing His Majesty. Otherwise, as a former general, Wen Xingyan deserves better than such childish humiliation. The gathered guests sided with the physician, murmuring among themselves, indeed. Though it's for saving His Majesty, severing his manhood would surely leave General Wen dying with regret. That organ is a man's pride and virility. I've heard that if a body is incomplete after death, it cannot enter reincarnation. General Wen was a hero in life. To be killed by a woman and now have his manhood severed and heart removed, it's truly pitiful. Eunuch Dihai added, Goddess, physician Zhang does have a point. After all, this concerns His Majesty's imperial health. If all this effort proved futile, Dihai feared the old emperor's wrath might fall upon him. Very well. I gathered my blades and declared, I shall first demonstrate to His Majesty that Wen Xingyan's golden youth indeed aids His Majesty's heart ailment. I shall not touch his reproductive organs or heart for now, but I must take a bowl of Wen Xingyan's blood. With an imperial edict binding them, the Wen family dared not openly defy. Besides, I only sought a bowl of blood, no threat to Wen Xingyan's life. Thus, imperial physician Zhang yielded. I slit Wen Xingyan's wrist, and warm blood swiftly filled the bowl. Eunuch Dihai carried this bowl of blood with me back to the palace to report. The Wen family then began the charade of replacing the red silk throughout their residence with white cloth. In the early hours after the guests departed, the Wen family secretly administered the antidote to Wen Xingyan's life-extinguishing pill with physician Zhang. The moment the antidote touched his tongue, Wen Xingyan awoke. During his feigned death, only his consciousness and hearing remained active, his limbs were frozen stiff, utterly immobile. The moment he regained mobility, Wen Xingyan shot upright and immediately groped his crotch. Confirming his manhood remained intact, he breathed a huge sigh of relief. The pain from the slash on his wrist flared up again, and he erupted in fury. What the hell does Lu Anning want? She nearly castrated me today. Wang Xingro, thoroughly shaken by the night's events, hurriedly suggested, Big brother, why not just come back to life tomorrow? This was far too risky. Today you nearly had your line cut off in public. Wang Xingyan snapped back. Come back to life? How could I come back to life? This incident has even alarmed the palace. Right now, I, Wang Xingyan, am a dead man. If I were to come back to life, the entire Wang family would be guilty of treason. He lamented bitterly, if only I'd never come up with this stupid fake death scheme. I thought Lu Anning loved me so foolishly that she'd be heartbroken if I died. Never imagined this woman wasn't just foolish, but also so ruthless. Madame Wen frowned deeply. What can we do? Today they only took your blood. If your blood truly benefits His Majesty's health. Her gaze drifted to Wen Xingyan's groin, her worry palpable. My son. Will your manhood even survive? Chief Physician Zhang sighed in sympathy. Though ancient medical texts offer no evidence that human blood cures heart ailments, if His Majesty clings to this misguided belief, Xingyan's fate looks grim. Dr. Zhang, what do you suggest I do? Wen Qin leaned helplessly into his embrace. The three Wen siblings watched the scene unfold without surprise. Their father, the old general, had passed years ago. While their mother maintained the appearance of widowhood, she had secretly rekindled her old romance with Dr. Zhang. 2 years prior, Wen Qin had nearly given birth in her old age, but the child was lost due to her advanced years. Dr. Zhang had always felt indebted to Wen Qin for this, which was why he went to great lengths to orchestrate the fake death for her son. On the wedding night, with candles burning bright, a maid's carelessness sets the bridal chamber ablaze, consuming Xingyan's body along with it. This way, Xingyan not only escapes unscathed, but the death of her husband on their wedding night, coupled with the fire, transforms the auspicious goddess into a true harbinger of disaster. Dr. Zhang stroked Lady Wen Qin's back as he asked, Madam, what do you think of this plan? This was Wen Xingyan's only escape route. Lady Wen Qin immediately sent someone to the back courtyard to find a male servant of similar build to Wen Xingyan, to be killed on the spot and substituted for him. As everyone bustled about, the second brother, Wen Xingzhou, suddenly spoke up, but what if the emperor grows angry when he discovers his corpse is missing? No one in the room paid him any mind. Wen Xingzhou's eyes gleamed with greed as he stammered, the emperor stated in his edict that if Brother Wen could cure His Majesty's illness, the Wen family would undoubtedly be rewarded with great merit. That night, at dawn, a fire erupted in the rear courtyard of the Wen residence. According to the servant's account, the wedding candles in the bridal chamber had burned down, igniting the silk on the table and setting the newlywed quarters ablaze. What should have been a joyous occasion turned tragic overnight, a dead groom and a raging fire. On the streets, everyone whispered that the divine maiden brought ill fortune, cursing her husband's family with misfortune. Meanwhile, within the palace, Emperor Xinyuan, after consuming Wen Xingyan's golden boy's blood, experienced a surge of vitality. He became convinced that Wen Xingyan's golden boy's heart must possess even greater efficacy. Thus, Dihai once again rushed to the Wen residence bearing an imperial edict, this time targeting Wen Xingyan's heart directly. Yet he found the Wen family dressed in mourning robes, weeping as they declared, it was our Xingyan's good fortune to heal His Majesty. But last night's fire consumed his body too. A servant carried a charred corpse from the bridal chamber, declaring it Wen Xingyan. Eunuch Dihai covered his nose with a handkerchief in horror. How could this happen? How can I report back to the emperor now? It's all the divine maiden's fault. When Xingro pointed at me and screamed, you killed my brother. You brought this fire. You left my brother's body unburied. Lu Anning, you disaster. You star of misfortune. I calmly extended my hand, calculated with my fingers, and told Eunuch Dihai, Wen Xingyan's body is clearly still intact and preserved within this mansion. This charred corpse is not Wen Xingyan. Send soldiers to search the mansion. Eunuch Dihai, eager to report back, promptly ordered soldiers to search the manor. Madame Wen Qin and Wen Xingro remained perfectly composed, they weren't fools. When the fire broke out last night, Wen Xingyan had already been smuggled out of the Wen residence amid the chaos and sent to the family's villa in Tongzhou. How could they possibly find any trace of Wen Xingyan here now? This way, Wen Xingyan not only slipped away unscathed, but Lu Anning's days of comfort were also nearing their end. Just as the Wen family mother and daughter were gloating, the gate to the east courtyard suddenly swung open. "Is the eunuch searching for my elder brother?" Wen Xingzhou pushed Wen Xingyan's corpse forward before the imperial edict. On the bed, Wen Xingyan lay with eyes tightly shut, feigning death. Madame Wen Qin gasped in shock. "How is Xingyan still in the mansion?" "Last night." When Dihai departed the general's mansion to report back to the palace, it was Wen Xingzhou who saw him off. Staring at the bowl of blood, Wen Xingzhou couldn't help but ask, "If my elder brother can cure his majesty's illness, will the Wen family receive great merit?" I told him, "Of course. And now that your elder brother is dead, you are the sole son of the Wen family. The greatest beneficiary of this great merit is you, Xingzhou. I know you've been overshadowed by Wen Xingyan your entire life. Now even the heavens are aiding you. With Wen Xingyan gone, this overwhelming wealth and power, it all depends on whether you can bear it." Wen Xingzhou stared at me in confusion. "Do you truly believe my elder brother is dead?" I answered him meaningfully, "Things have come to this. If your elder brother is truly dead, it's for the best for everyone, especially for you. It's a blessing." I had anticipated the Wen family would orchestrate Wen Xingyan's escape. But among them, someone always harbors selfish motives. As I anticipated, after just a few words of persuasion, Wen Xingzhou secretly slipped the life-extinguishing pill into his tea. Wen Xingyan, who had intended to flee amidst the chaos, fell once more into a state of feigned death, completely unprepared. His own younger brother escorted him back to the Wen residence, straight to my blade. It seems heaven protects His Majesty, allowing Wen Xingyan to escape the fire. Since his body remains intact, he should offer his heart organ to the emperor. Before that, as his newlywed wife, I shall first perform the castration ritual for my husband. I tore open Wen Xingyan's outer robe. Below his waist, that object lay limp and still. I hated Wen Xingyan, but I hated this thing of his even more. Because men possess this thing, they are naturally considered superior to women. Out of reverence for this thing, a woman who loses her husband is branded a husband-killing disaster star, stripped of everything, condemned to lifelong widowhood. Dare she seek new love, she becomes an unfaithful harlot, deserving to be burned alive. Yet a man who loses his wife can still promotion and wealth as one of life's 3 greatest joys. In my past life, he swore eternal love to me one moment, then went to the outer courtyard the next to revel in carnal pleasures with Yin Yang, using that very thing to conceive a child. After his fake death, I was stripped of all prospects and freedom, forced to wear mourning for 10 years. He broke his vows, defiling his own body, yet I was expected to remain chaste and faithful to this filthy thing, this rotten cucumber, to be a widow, a virtuous woman. Burning hatred in my eyes, I gripped the blade and walked to Wen Xingyan's shoulder. Leaning close, I whispered into his ear, "Husband, the goddess herself castrates you. You should feel honored." Wen Xingyan's brow twitched. He heard and understood. He was terrified. He struggled to revive himself, but the life-extinguishing pill controlled his limbs. He could neither cry out nor flee. I raised the blade abruptly. Amidst the horrified cries of the Wen family mother and daughter, I cleanly severed Wen Xingyan's manhood. As blood spattered, the veins on Wen Xingyan's forehead and hands bulged violently. I could almost hear the agonized scream echoing from the depths of his soul. "Ah! My son! Eldest brother!" The Wen family mother and daughter rushed forward, frantically trying to staunch the bleeding from Wen Xingyan's lower body. Dr. Zhang arrived a step too late, catching only the moment I tossed aside the severed organ. Now he is truly clean. Blood quickly pooled beneath Wen Xingyan's body. Eunuch Dihai, a seasoned man, exclaimed in astonishment, "How can a dead man bleed so much? And the blood is still warm?" I explained, "Xingyan possesses the body of a golden child, unlike ordinary mortals. For 7 days, his blood remains warm. Thus, today I performed his purification. When we select an auspicious day to extract his heart, that organ too will be warm when removed. Your Majesty may rest assured." Eunuch Dihai finally relaxed, "Then we are indebted to the divine maiden." "Oh dear! Your hands are covered in blood, go clean them at once." He quipped, "If this servant may speak freely, your blade, divine maiden, cuts swifter and more ruthlessly than any in the castration chamber." You flatter me, eunuch. Ah, one more thing. Once the Wen family has prepared Wen Xingnian's body, I implore you to have him carried into the palace first thing tomorrow morning. Extracting the heart is a solemn matter, proper rites of blessing must be observed. What do you mean? When Xingro stepped in front of her brother's body. You want to take my brother's corpse back to the palace? If he entered the palace, Wen Xingnian would have no chance of escape. I glanced at the burned-out inner courtyard behind us. Third sister, you saw it yourself. Your Wen residence just suffered a major fire. Who could feel at ease leaving your brother's body here? Quite right. Quickly change Wen Xingnian's clothes and bandage his wounds. After all, he must enter the palace, we cannot offend his majesty. Eunuch Dihai spoke, but Wen Xingro still refused to yield. I glanced at Wen Xingzhou. Catching my look, he stepped forward, pulled Wen Xingro away, and agreed to the matter on behalf of the Wen family. Late at night, Wen Xingro escorted a maid, a woman with a slightly swollen belly, toward the Wen residence. The woman hurried along, following closely to the Wen family's warm chamber. The moment she entered the room, the pungent smell of blood hit her. The antidote for the life-extinguishing pill has been administered. Why hasn't my son regained consciousness? Madame Wen Qin paced frantically like a headless fly. Physician Zhang, while administering acupuncture, explained, he's severely weakened and unconscious from excessive blood loss below the waist. A few more needles should do the trick. After several more needles, Wen Xingnian indeed opened his eyes. The moment he awoke, the woman threw herself onto him, wailing, "My Wen Lang! How could they do this to you?" Wen Xingnian abruptly sat up and struck her across the face. Stunned, she remained frozen. "My lord Wen, it's Yin Yang. Lu Anning castrated you, why would you strike me? If you hadn't seduced me, how could Lu Anning have deduced my lower body was defiled? How could I have been castrated in public today?" Warmth of shame and anger. "Yin Yang, it's all your fault. You seduced me into faking our deaths and running away together. That's why I'm trapped in this hellish predicament now. I can't live. I don't want to die. I'm worse off than dead, worse off than dead." He screamed wildly, suddenly drawing the sword from the bedside and lunging toward Yin Yang. Yin Yang clutched her belly and cried out, "I'm pregnant. This child is the only bloodline you, Wen Xingnian, will ever have. If you kill me, you'll truly be cutting off your own line." The sword in Wen Xingnian's hand clattered to the floor. Blood began seeping from his lower body again, the pain bending him double like a shrimp whose thread had been pulled, unable to straighten. It wasn't until late into the night that physician Zhang administered potent medicine to finally staunch the bleeding in his lower body. Wen Xingnian managed to calm himself. He finally recalled that his predicament wasn't solely the fault of women, he had his own good brother, Wen Xingzhou, to blame. Last night, he could have slipped away from the Wen residence in the chaos and escaped to freedom. But before departure, Wen Xingzhou persuaded him to drink a cup of tea. After that, he lost all consciousness. When he awoke, his pride and joy had been severed clean by Lu Anning's blade. He confronted Wen Xingzhou, who retorted, "Brother, a gentleman doesn't stand beneath a crumbling wall. You risked your life by faking your death, how dare you blame me? Don't you know why I faked my death? Our family owes the imperial family 3 million taels of gold. Only Lu Anning's dowry can cover that debt. If I hadn't feigned death, she wouldn't have become a widow. How else would we get that money? The debt was caused by your selfish schemes back then, tampering with the grain supplies. Now you blame others?" Before Wen Xingzhou could finish, Lady Wen Qin struck him across the face. "You're nothing but a bastard son, orphaned and raised under my care. How dare you defy me? I'm not dead yet. And now you dare to disrespect your legitimate elder brother right before my eyes. If your father knew this in the afterlife, he'd be so enraged his soul would shatter." When Xingzhou sneered coldly, "Mother, when you and physician Zhang spent 3 days and nights in the very bed where father died, he was already so enraged his soul scattered to the winds. You. Madame Wen Qin was so enraged her eyes bulged and her mouth twisted, but after stammering you for ages, not a single word came out. I advise you to treat this second son of yours better. Now that your eldest son is as good as dead, even if he somehow miraculously came back to life, he'd still be a eunuch. His only future now is either to become a golden boy for the emperor's medicinal potions, or to enter the palace as a eunuch. Who knows? He might even become the next fox borrowing tiger-powered high eunuch. Madame Wenqin flew into such a rage she lunged to strike him again, but this time when Xingzhou blocked her hand, "Make up your mind, do you want to rely on me, your illegitimate son, or on a eunuch son?" Madame Wenqin clutched her chest, her breathing ragged with fury. "Enough!" Imperial physician Zhang loudly halted the family feud. "Xingyan, tomorrow you'll be sent to the palace. Once inside, your heart will surely be lost. But if you refuse and your fake death is exposed, the entire Wen family will perish with you. Choose your path wisely, don't drag your mother down with you. Dr. Zhang, you're the only one who truly cares for me." Lady Wenqin threw herself into Zhang Tai's arms, sobbing as she wiped her tears. "Why must my life be so bitter?" Wen Xingyan racked his brain before turning to Wen Xingro. "Third sister, take Yunyang to Tongzhou and settle her there. The child she carries is my only bloodline now. Nothing must happen to that child. Otherwise, I truly will have no heir." Wen Xingro nodded. Suddenly, Wen Xingyan grasped her hand. "You're my own sister. You won't turn your back on me like Wen Xingzhou did, will you?" Wen Xingro vowed solemnly, "Brother, rest assured. I will take good care of sister-in-law." Only then did Wen Xingyan relax, his resolve firm. "I will never take the life-extinguishing pill again. Tomorrow, I will feign death and enter the palace. The moment I'm inside, I'll seize an opportunity to see His Majesty and reveal that Lu Anning has framed me. Once the Emperor knows my death was a ruse, the goddess's lies will crumble. He would never permit Lu Anning to rip out my heart." He clenched the quilt, grinding his teeth. "Then I'll make sure Lu Anning, that so-called goddess, is utterly disgraced." Early the next morning, when Xingyan was secretly brought into the palace and placed in the autumn cooling hall. The autumn cooling hall was extremely close to the cold palace. After all, he was a dead man. Though the emperor intended to use him, he still found the situation inauspicious. With few people around, the guards and eunuchs who carried him in withdrew immediately. I lifted the white cloth. Though Wen Xingyan still appeared lifeless and unconscious, his chest rose and fell slightly, and his complexion wasn't as deathly pale as before. Probably afraid that if he woke from his feigned death, I'd dislocate his arms and break his legs again, this time he dared not even take the life-extinguishing pill, choosing instead to feign death. Pretending not to notice, I stepped out of the autumn cooling hall and instructed the attendant guards, "The auspicious hour for praying for the emperor's well-being is at the hour of you tonight. I trouble you, guard brothers, to carry Wen Xingyan's body to the stargazing pavilion before the hour of you." The two guards exchanged a knowing glance and answered loudly, "As you command, divine maiden." Evening approached. The stout guard grumbled, "Guarding a corpse is such bad luck. Old Zhou and the others are serving at the emperor's side. They're on duty at the Jade Terrace Palace now. The emperor's enjoying song and dance inside, and they get to sneak a peek too." The lean guard sighed, "We'll get our own spectacle soon enough. I've never seen a heart extracted from a corpse before." Wen Xingyan was a general after all, and he secured such a favorable marriage with the Lu family. I thought he was a man blessed with fortune. Who knew his own fortune was too shallow to withstand the goddess's destiny? Instead, he brought about his own demise. That's what happens when you try to force good fortune. Every word the guards exchanged reached Wen Xingyan's ears as he lay feigning death. Fury clenched his fists. With his skills, taking down both guards would be effortless. But doing so would likely brand him an assassin, and then he'd never even see the emperor. Yet his chance came swiftly. Still an hour left before the auspicious time. "Let's go drink." The moment the fat and thin guard's reflections vanished from the palace gate, Wen Xingyan faked his death and sprang upright. His lower body still throbbed with pain, but to revive himself openly, he had to endure it. On the way, he knocked out a eunuch, stole his clothes to disguise himself, and hurried toward the Jade Stair Palace the guards had mentioned. Within the Jade Stair Palace, revelry reigned. Emperor Xingyuan, in high spirits lately, sipped ginseng wine while enjoying the music and dance. Amidst the crowd of beauties, a eunuch suddenly burst forth. The dancers startled, and the imperial guards immediately drew their swords to protect the emperor. The eunuch removed his cap, knelt, and cried out, "I am no assassin. Your Majesty. I am third-rank general of the flying cavalry, Wen Xingyan." The dancers now screamed as if seeing a ghost. Emperor Xingyuan, however, remained perfectly composed. Dismissing everyone, he narrowed his eyes. "Wen Xingyan, did you not die on your wedding night?" "Your humble servant did not die." "No. Your humble servant was nearly poisoned to death by the goddess Lu Anning." When Xingyan loudly proclaimed his innocence, heaping all the blame upon me. Lu Anning laced the wedding cup with a deadly poison, leaving this humble servant unconscious for days. She insisted I was dead and deceived your Majesty, claiming my heart could cure your illness, a colossal lie. Though born in an auspicious year, month, and day, I did not perish at the blessed hour of my wedding night. I am no golden child. The notion that a golden child's heart could cure illness is all part of Lu Anning's scheme to kill by proxy. Your Majesty, in your wisdom, do not be deceived by her. When Xingyan expected the emperor to discover the truth and execute Lu Anning in fury. Instead, the old emperor countered, "For 30 years I have labored for my country and its people, tormented by illness for 30 years. If even a sliver of hope for healing exists, should not you, my ministers, devote yourselves utterly, serving until death?" When Xingyan paused, then answered respectfully, "Your Majesty is a sage ruler for the ages, blessed by heaven. You shall surely live as long as heaven itself, reigning for 10,000 years. Well said, long life equal to heaven's. But without my minister Wen's golden child's heart, how could I live forever? Even if there's only a sliver of hope, you ministers should sacrifice everything for your sovereign. Your Majesty, but this humble servant did not die at the auspicious hour." Wang Xingyan felt a chill run down his spine under the emperor's murky, greedy gaze. He stammered in panic, "Your Majesty, I did not die at the auspicious hour. It was a feigned death, a death by poison administered by the divine maiden. I am no golden child. The elixir was useless." The old emperor chuckled darkly. "The divine maiden never said you could only die at the auspicious hour of your wedding night. Take this very moment, for instance, the sunset hour of you. That too is an auspicious hour, perfect for all matters." When Xingyan's hair stood on end. He knelt and stumbled backward 2 steps, rising to flee. But before the imperial guards could move, he froze in place. He stared at me as if seeing a ghost. "Lu Anning, you. How are you here?" I toyed with the dagger meant to sever his manhood, my eyes sparkling with amusement. "Has my husband forgotten? I am the divine maiden. Tonight at your hour, I shall bless his majesty, by extracting his heart for the elixir." I pointed upward toward Wen Xingyan. Only then did Wen Xingyan look up, seeing the ceiling of jade stair palace plastered with talismanic papers. Beneath his feet lay an intricate bagua formation. 8 pillars were bound with crimson threads, the emperor seated at the formation's center, glaring at Wen Xingyan's heart like a wolf or tiger, like a dying beast fixated on its final prey. Wen Xingyan looked down and realized he had unknowingly stepped into the very center of the formation. "Did you think I intended to pluck your heart in the stargazing pavilion? No. The Jade Stair Palace is the true execution ground." Terrified, Wen Xingyan's legs buckled. 5 guards rushed forward, forcing him to his knees at the formation's core. He watched helplessly as Lu Anning declared before the emperor, "Your Majesty, this is the longevity array your servant has prepared for you. Wen Xingyan truly is the one and only golden child. Look, he has walked into the array's center of his own accord today. This proves he is the divine vessel sent by heaven to extend your life." The old emperor was charmed into a delighted smile. "Divine maiden, proceed at once. I can scarcely wait to consume this golden child's heart." "As you command." I turned, blade in hand, advancing step by step toward Wen Xingyan. Wen Xingyan struggled desperately. "No. No. I'm not the golden child. I'm not. My husband has forgotten again, I am the divine maiden." I plunged the blade into his heart. "If I say you are, then you are." Wen Xingyan screamed in agony. As his vision flickered between light and dark, memories from his past life flashed by in a dizzying rush. When his eyes opened again, the look he gave me was tinged with extreme hatred and terror. "Anning, you're exacting revenge on me. You've been doing this all along. In our past life, You chose to mourn me willingly. Can't you take the consequences? What right do you have to punish me like this? His cries of past and present lives only reinforced the emperor's conviction that he possessed the unique destiny of the golden child. Seeing my impassive expression, Wen Xingyan felt the knife beneath his hand slowly churning in the flesh of his chest. Though not yet fatally wounded, he endured this as a form of slow torture. Finally, fear gripped him, and he crumbled, "Anning, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Your husband was wrong. I did you a favor. Do you remember? 10 years ago, I brought back the bodies of your father and brother from the front lines. You said it was because of me that your dearest ones could return to their homeland for burial. You promised to remember this kindness for the rest of your life. Even if I've wronged you, you shouldn't be this heartless. This is ingratitude." I asked him coldly, "I do appreciate you. But I want to ask, why was my brother's corpse missing an arm?" When Xingyan froze abruptly, his eyes darting about, the northern D cut it off. On the battlefield, blades flash everywhere, countless men lose limbs. Your elder brother was no exception. Yes, it was. It was the northern D who cut it off. No. It was you who severed his left arm after his death, out of personal grudge. I accused him fiercely, because his left hand defeated you within 3 moves. You resented him, you envied him. So when you found his body, you chopped off his left arm and fed it to the wild dogs. Wen Xingyan, did you really think I knew nothing? 10 years ago, the Lu family was the most prominent martial clan at its peak. Wen Xingyan was merely an attendant to my elder brother. Arrogant in his youth, he publicly challenged my elder brother to a duel in the barracks. My brother, seeing his youth, granted him 3 moves and even fought with his left hand. Even so, Wen Xingyan was no match and was thoroughly defeated within 5 moves. I never imagined he would harbor such jealousy and hatred toward my brother from that day onward. Later, when the Northern D invaded Zhonghuai, our Lu family army defended the border to the last man, sacrificing our entire clan. Wen Xingyan, commanding the reinforcements, easily routed the Northern D forces, already shattered by our Lu army. Riding on our family's glory, he was honored for pacifying the frontier and even brought back the remains of our fallen warriors. Among them were my father and brother. My brother's body was covered in wounds, his death gruesome and brutal. Yet the injury on his left arm was too clean, the serrated curved blades used by the Northern D could never have left such a perfectly straight cut. At that time, I was the sole survivor of the Lu family, a 10-year-old orphan. Consumed by grief, I harbored doubts but had no way to verify them. Later, due to my destiny and innate talents, I was taken in by the old imperial preceptor. After 10 years of cultivation, I became the divine maiden personally selected by the court. The path of a divine maiden is a lonely one. During those 10 years, my only joy came entirely from Wen Xingyan. He would take me over the walls to ride horses, or to the sea to catch fish only to release them back. He said since I had lost my brother, I could treat him as my own. Since I had lost my family, I could regard his family as my own. I cherished Wen Xingyan's kindness, which allowed my closest kin to return to their roots. So when he petitioned the emperor for my hand in marriage, I gladly consented. Until my death in my previous life, when Xingyan stood beside his beautiful bride and their 2 children, whispering in my ear, it was I who severed Lu Anhuai's hand. Who asked him to be so deceitful that day? Using his left hand and letting me win 3 moves, wasn't that just to make my defeat more humiliating? Right then, I swore I would exact this humiliation from him. Your elder brother was a hero. Even the Northern D tribes revered his corpse, refusing to desecrate or humiliate it. He could have had his body intact, but I severed his golden left hand and left it for wild dogs to devour. I've heard that if a body is incomplete after death, it cannot enter the cycle of reincarnation. Lu Anning, your brother lies in the underworld with eyes wide open. He must have watched you marry me with his own eyes, only to be toyed with into mourning me for 10 years. How heartbroken he must be. His laughter from my past life still echoes in my ears. Looking at Wen Xingyan in this life, I laughed along. Wen Xingyan, I will castrate you and rip out your heart. A man like you deserves to die mutilated, never to be reborn. In that moment, my elder brother seemed to stand behind me. With his left hand, he seized my wrist. We exerted force together, and a single thrust pierced Wen Xingyan's heart. I twisted the knife handle, stirring it deep within his heart. Wen Xingyan vomited blood from the agony. He began begging for mercy. "I'm sorry, Anning. I wronged my elder brother, I wronged you. Spare me, don't cut out my heart, at least don't do it while I'm still alive. Pain. It hurts so much." I only smiled, my movements growing more vicious and relentless. I whispered to him, "Truthfully, on our wedding night, I could have followed the imperial decree and carved out your heart with a single stroke. But I didn't. Do you know why I chose this auspicious hour tonight?" Wen Xingyan stared at me, bewildered and terrified. I told him, "Because this hour marks the auspicious day and time when, in your past life, you faked your death to elope and married Yin Yang in that paradise beyond the world. While you and she exchanged vows and consummated your marriage, I knelt before that empty coffin, clutching your spirit tablet for 3 days and nights. For everyone said it was my curse that killed you. During my 10 years of widowhood, I used my dowry to pay off your Wen family's debts. I helped your younger brother enter officialdom and arranged his marriage. Your sister was also introduced into a prestigious household, eventually marrying into the vice minister's mansion. Your mother-in-law, Lady Wen Qin, lived a life of luxury, indulging daily in illicit pleasures with her physician Zhang. All the filthy secrets of your Wen family fell on my shoulders alone. No one ever asked if I was weary, they only said I had cursed my husband to death, that all this was my sin to atone for. Wen Xingyan, those 10 years, the more carefree and unburdened you were, the more agonizing my existence became. That's why I remember the hour of that day so clearly. The gong sounded at the hour of you. I closed my eyes and listened. Wen Xingyan, hear this, your true auspicious hour has arrived. Legend tells that on that night, the divine maiden slit open her newlywed husband's chest, extracting a warm, beating heart, blackened and rotten. She gazed at the heart, then glanced at her husband lying on the ground, his final breath fading from a body now devoid of a heart. She spoke but one sentence, "My husband once said his heart belonged entirely to me. Today, I've taken it out with my own hands to see. Your heart stinks just like your manhood." The old emperor's eyes lit up at the sight of this golden boy's heart, nearly devouring it on the spot. That very night, the heart was stewed and made into medicine. On the 3rd day after ingesting the heart, the old emperor's heart ailment eased immediately. I had performed a great service. Yet I cautioned His Majesty, when Xingyan's feigned death deceived the throne, orchestrated by the Imperial Medical Bureau. If your Majesty does not pursue this, those physicians who dared deceive you today will dare poison you tomorrow. The Emperor of Xingyuan, ever suspicious, immediately ordered a thorough investigation. Thus, both Physician Li and Physician Zhang were uncovered. As they were led to the execution ground, Physician Zhang asked me one final question, why? Why could Wen Xingyan's heart cure illness? It defies all logic. I smiled. Physician Zhang, do you recall 8 years ago, when Wen Xingyan was wounded on the battlefield? It was merely a superficial injury, yet you insisted that only the 1,000-year-old deer antler from my Lu family could heal him? Our Lu family, with its centuries of military heritage, always kept a few treasured medicinal herbs in the manor. The 1,000-year-old deer antler was the most precious among them. Madame Wen Qin had long coveted that antler. She persuaded Physician Zhang, if my son consumes that 1,000-year-old deer antler, it will surely fortify his constitution. That little Lu Anning won't stand a chance. Why should such a precious thing benefit a mere girl? Deceive her into handing it over, let it nourish my Xingyan. Thus, Physician Zhang exaggerated before me, claiming Wen Xingyan's injuries were severe and that consuming that antler was essential to saving his life. I was only 12 then, manipulated by these adults and believing their lies. Weeping, I handed over the 1,000-year-old deer antler my father had left me to protect my life. That precious antler was thus devoured by the Wen family. Eating too much of that antler seeps into one's flesh and blood. When Xingyan consumed so much, his blood, his very heart, must carry some of its potency. Imperial Physician Zhang suddenly understood. So that's how it was. That's how it was. He looked toward Wen Qin, who was wiping away tears at the execution ground, and said bitterly, I've been clever and cautious all my life, yet I was defeated by a woman's greed and shallowness. What a joke! What a joke! Oh, right. I graciously informed the dying imperial physician Zhang. I hear when Xingyan deliberately saved a small portion, which was later fed to Hiyingyang to stabilize her pregnancy. Once deer antler enters the human body, its potency is greatly diminished. His Majesty's current symptom relief is merely treating the symptoms, not the root cause. His illness will recur. Hiyingyang must have consumed quite a bit herself. Her heart, her blood, and the child within her womb all could serve as potent medicine for His Majesty. In this world, where there is a golden boy, there must be a jade maiden. It is all for the divine maiden to decide. Meeting Dr. Zhang's horrified gaze, I smiled with infinite gentleness and kindness. Dr. Zhang, what a pity. You won't be able to see the best part of the show. As physician Zhang was strangled and his head fell, his eyes glared at Lady Wenqin with bitter resentment. News of Lady Wenqin and physician Zhang's illicit affair spread far and wide. The emperor was enraged, for old General Wen was a true pillar of the nation. Lady Wenqin's wanton behavior brought shame upon the old general's illustrious name. Her noble title was stripped, and she was banished to a nunnery. Didn't she love demanding others observe widowhood? Now she could observe it herself to her heart's content. Yet barely days into her widowhood, she was secretly drowned in a pig cage. To the outside world, it was reported as a shameful, sudden death. When news of Lady Wenqin's death reached them, Wen Xingro immediately confronted Wen Xingzhou. Wen Xingzhou, you had mother drowned. Wen Xingzhou made no denial. A harlot like her only hinders my future if she remains alive. When Xingro flew into a rage and lunged to strike him, you're merely a concubine's son. How dare you dream of becoming master? When Xingzhou lost all restraint, kicking Wen Xingro to the ground, third sister, you're still living in a dream? Your own mother was a harlot, and your eldest brother was a eunuch when he died. All the great achievements of the Wen family rest solely on my shoulders. I am the newly appointed third-rank general of the flying cavalry. This Wen family is now under my command. He stepped on Wen Xingro's back. I truly am your master. I returned to the Grand Master's residence. The old Grand Sage never interfered much in my marriage, only saying, follow the course of karma. Seeing me return unharmed, he was moved to tears and brought me back to the Hall of Heavenly Secrets. Only then did I learn that the Grand Sage had long divined the karmic consequences of this marriage. This is the karmic trial of love destined in your life. The Divine Maiden is a sacred office chosen by mortals to connect with heaven. Her duty is to sacrifice her own fortune and lifespan to glimpse heaven's secrets and protect the people. Anning, over the past decade, your 5 prophecies of celestial calamities have saved countless lives. Yet mortal intrusion into heavenly secrets exacts a toll, shortened lifespan and diminished fortune. This tribulation of love is the karmic retribution you invited by peering into the heavens. The oracle foretold that, ensnared by love, you would perish in this ordeal, body and soul extinguished. I understood, so in my past life, my fortune waned, and I died young at 30. The old Grand Sage showed no surprise at my mention of past life karma, only deep sorrow. After your tragic death last lifetime, your entire Lu family's ancestors in heaven were frantic with worry. Your father and brothers had distinguished military service, your mother devoted her life to kindness and virtue. As a family with generations of merit and profound accumulated virtue, they exhausted every effort to plead with heaven for your rebirth. Tears welling, I asked, if that was the case, why did heaven take them away? Their merits were fulfilled. They attained enlightenment on earth, bypassed reincarnation, and ascended to immortal realms. An ordinary family could never have borne a daughter destined to be a divine maiden. The old Grand Preceptor placed the 9 mysteries Rui, the artifact for divining heaven's secrets, into my hands. Now that you have undergone rebirth through nirvana and transcended the trials of love, you are worthy of the Grand Preceptor's mantle. I took the 9 mystery scepter and bowed 3 times toward the heavens. That very night, the old Grand Preceptor ascended to immortality for revealing the heavenly secrets. I, Lu Anning, became the first female Grand Preceptor of Zhonghui Kingdom. That day, Emperor Xingyuan not only consumed Wen Xingyan's heart but also drained every drop of his blood and flesh. He stored them in an ice cellar, turning them into medicine to be taken 3 times daily. The Emperor Xingyuan's health did indeed flourish for a long time. During that period, I, the female Grand Preceptor, became his most trusted and favored minister. After all, it was I who had shown him this path to prolong his life. Half a year later, when Shinro arrived at the Grand Preceptor's residence, she began by addressing me as sister-in-law. Only after being slapped did she correct herself to call me Grand Preceptor. When Xingzhou intends to marry me off to the Crown Prince of Ningzhou City for a lucky marriage. Ningzhou is so remote, and that Crown Prince has been in a coma for 20 years, he's practically a living corpse. When Xingzhou, to curry favor with the aristocratic families, actually wants to marry me off to such a household. He now holds the reins of power, and I have no say in my own marriage. Grand Master, I beg you, I implore you, for the sake of our past bond, save me. Bond? When did I ever share a bond with third Miss Wen? The bond you speak of, could it be the one from half a year ago, when you and your mother conspired to deceive me into observing widowhood and scheme for my dowry? When Xingro, stung by my accusation, crawled on her knees to my feet, goddess, grand sage. For the sake of our shared womanhood. Please save me. I'll marry anyone, just not that living corpse. You know how tragic it is for a woman to marry the wrong man. Anyone? Would you marry that peddler standing at the door? When Xingro immediately turned up her nose. How could they possibly be worthy of me? Seeing an opening for negotiation, she quickly added, I've long admired the third prince. With the Grand Preceptor's immense power over the court, even the third prince visited your residence recently. If you would speak on my behalf, I could marry him even as a secondary consort, I'd accept. See? She was still the same as in her past life, scheming to climb the social ladder. After Wen Xingyan's fake death in her previous life, the Wen family's status plummeted. When Xingrou's marriage prospects dwindled to a mere fourth-rank censor's household. Yet she refused to accept it, disguising herself as a maid to run off and have an affair with the second son of the Minister of Right's household. When the scandal broke, the Wens threw a fit, crying, causing a scene, and threatening suicide, forcing me to go to the Minister of Right's residence and arrange the marriage. That family had some connection to my Lu clan, and in the end, they relented for my sake. When Xingro married into the prestigious household as she wished. From the moment she prepared for her wedding, she schemed to seize what little dowry remained. Later, using the minister's household as a stepping stone, she infiltrated the circle of noble ladies in the capital. Everyone said she owed her success to me, her sister-in-law. Yet she declared, sister-in-law? She's nothing but a husband-killing widow. Arranging my marriage was her way of atoning for her sins. I'm giving her a chance to redeem herself. Truth be told, she should be kneeling to thank me. Later, He Young was brought back to the mansion by Wen Xingyan. I was gravely ill in bed at the time. When Xingro returned specifically to support He Young, declaring He Young her true sister-in-law. She led He Young to plunder every piece of jewelry and treasure from my chambers. How arrogantly she had behaved in her past life, and how utterly lowly she was now, kneeling before me, begging for help to climb higher. This time, she didn't even deem the minister's residence worthy, she aimed straight for the position of prince's consort. Very well. I agreed to her request. I would make her understand what it meant to have ambitions as high as the heavens but a fate as fragile as paper. But there are conditions. What conditions? I'll agree to anything. You're hiding He Young, aren't you? She must be carrying your eldest brother's posthumous child. By now, she should be close to giving birth. When Xingro paled. But I promised my brother I'd protect her and the child. Her hesitation lasted only a moment before she betrayed Wen Xingyan. I agree. You needn't trouble yourself searching. I'll deliver He Young to you myself. I nodded with satisfaction, this would do. He Young's appearance was perfectly timed, for Emperor Xingyuan had already consumed all of Wen Xingyan's flesh and blood. His heart ailment would soon flare up again. And He Young would be the next Wen Xingyan. That very night, the emperor's heart ailment returned, tormenting him with agonizing pain throughout the night. I was urgently summoned to the palace. Did you not say Wen Xingyan possessed the heart of a golden boy? That consuming his heart would cure my affliction once and for all? What is happening now? I replied respectfully, Your Majesty, please calm your anger. Though Wen Xingyan was castrated before his heart was removed, he had previously committed an act of debauchery. This defiled the purity of the golden boy's body, causing Your Majesty's affliction to return. Then what shall be done now? I am in agony. In this world, where there is a golden boy, there must be a jade maiden. The flesh and blood of the jade maiden possess the same effect as the golden boy's. Your Majesty, I have already found you a jade maiden. When Xingro lured He Yang back to the imperial city, claiming the emperor wished to reward Wen Xingnian's self-sacrificing valor, he would personally confer upon He Yang the title of noble lady, along with a noble rank and rewards for both her and the child she carried. He Yang, born a courtesan, had attached herself to Wen Xingnian precisely to secure the position of mistress of the household. Now that Wen Xingnian was dead, she and her unborn child were utterly defenseless. When Xingnian's own sister told her she was about to be granted the title of noble lady, with a high chance of gaining status through her child and becoming a marquise in the future. Believing it to be true, He Yang, 8 months pregnant, eagerly entered the imperial palace. As she entered the Jade Stair Palace, she happened to encounter me exiting. Even with Wen Xingnian dead, she subconsciously flaunted her belly to me. She was carrying twins. In her previous life, it was through these twins that she became the mistress of the Wen household before even marrying. By the final stages of my illness, my eyes were half blinded. Her son urinated into my medicine bowl, her daughter had someone stuff a dead rat into my rice. When I tasted something foul and doubled over in the bed, vomiting, these 2 children clapped their hands beside the bed, shouting, "Evil woman! Stealing daddy from mommy! Serves you right! Serves you right!" Later, they tortured me to death. He Yang handled my funeral arrangements. Though handled is a stretch, she had my body wrapped in a straw mat and tossed into a mass grave. My maidservant couldn't bear it. She secretly erected a memorial tablet for me in the Lu family shrine. When He Yang found out, she began wailing daily of heartache, claiming my vengeful spirit haunted her. She urged Wen Xingnian to burn my spirit tablet in the Lu family shrine. The fire got out of control, and the entire shrine was consumed. Yet no one stood up for the Lu family, for their only daughter who could have sought justice, Lu Anning, had already met a tragic end. Now, He Yang still strutted like a proud goose, so what if he's the imperial preceptor? He's still only a second rank. But a lady of imperial decree can be granted first rank. You must bow to me when you see me. I smiled faintly and asked her only one thing, was that 1,000-year-old deer antler for pregnancy nourishment tasty? He Yang assumed I was jealous. Xingnian is just being kind to me, giving me your family heirloom as a pregnancy tonic. Your jealousy won't change anything. He Yang strode into the Jade Stair Palace with her nose in the air. Soon, her agonized screams echoed from within, "No. I'm no jade maiden. I can't heal illnesses. My child! My child! Don't come near me! Don't come near me! What are you doing? Help! Help!" Help, immediately followed by the agonized screams of a heart being ripped out. Amidst the blood-curdling cries, third Prince Xiaoying approached, what refined taste, Grand Preceptor. Praying for His Majesty's health once more. But now both individuals who consumed that deer antler are gone. Should His Majesty fall ill again, how will you respond? The third prince was cunning. He had discerned the hidden truth behind the golden boy and jade girl and used it to threaten me. I smiled faintly, then we must ensure the emperor does not live to suffer that day. The third prince bowed to me, "Please enlighten me, Grand Sage." The screams within the hall grew even more piercing and terrifying. Your Highness has prepared everything but lacks a just cause for action. If the people learned that the current emperor delights in devouring human hearts and flesh, sparing not even pregnant women, do you think they wouldn't yearn for a virtuous ruler to replace this tyrant? The third prince was struck by sudden clarity, but then we might lack legitimate grounds. I'll still need the imperial preceptor's assistance. That poses no difficulty. I shall cast an imperial divination for you, declaring you the new enlightened ruler of Zhonghui. The third prince took Wen Xingrou's hand with satisfaction. Then the national preceptor's sister shall undoubtedly become this prince's most favored consort. Wen Xingrou blushed coyly. I gave a cold laugh and said to the third prince, "Treat her well." He Yang consumed little deer antler, and her flesh proved less potent than Wen Xingnian's. Within a month, Emperor Xingyuan relapsed. Alas, he never got the chance to punish me. As he writhed in agony, Xiaoying slit his father's throat with a single stroke. The old emperor never understood why I betrayed him until his dying breath. I asked him only one thing: during the war against the Northern D, Your Majesty delayed sending reinforcements precisely to starve my entire Lu family to death. Thus, you pacified the border while simultaneously crushing a noble house whose achievements overshadowed the sovereign. How clever, killing the dog after the rabbit is caught, killing two birds with one stone. I gripped the dog emperor's chin. Did Your Majesty truly believe the Lu family had no one left? After Emperor Shenyuan's death, his corpse emitted an unbearable stench. Court physicians attributed it to his excessive consumption of human flesh during his lifetime. Xiaowing instructed the court historians to embellish the narrative, portraying Emperor Shenyuan as a tyrannical and incompetent ruler who dined on human flesh. By contrast, Xiaowing, the usurper who ascended the throne, emerged in the eyes of his subjects as a benevolent savior. After Xiaowing ascended the throne, Wen Xingro schemed relentlessly to become his favored concubine. A year later, she bore him a prince. 2 years after that, Zhonghuai was struck by floods. Rain fell continuously for over a month, drowning crops in the fields, breaching the dikes, and plunging the people into misery. Faced with such natural calamity, I was tasked with presiding over the ritual to pray for blessings and appease the heavens. On the day of the rite, drizzle fell relentlessly. I ascended the jade platform, sacrificing my own fortune to the heavens in exchange for favorable winds and rains. As the ceremony drew to a close, the crowd below grew restless, the clamor of weapons piercing the air. Opening my eyes, I saw the jade platform surrounded by troops. At the head stood none other than Emperor Xiaowing. Lu Anning, as the state priest, your corrupt heart has summoned these calamities. Today, I shall act on heaven's behalf. When Xingro nestled into Xiaoying's embrace, I told you, I would avenge my elder brother and mother. Commanding the troops was Wen Xingzhou. Lu Anning, did you truly believe I'd remain under the thumb of a mere woman like you forever? One was a treacherous dog of an emperor, another a demonic consort who thought her status was secure through her son, and the third a useless ornament who seized power by killing her own kin. These 3 vile creatures deserved to be struck dead by heavenly lightning. No need for me to act personally. The Taoist boy stepped forward, cradling the 2-year-old prince. When Xingro immediately panicked, my royal son. How did he end up in your hands? Xiaowing was equally shocked. Lu Anning, you dare take the prince hostage to threaten me. The imperial consort seems to have forgotten, this child was begged from me. Without me, how could your shallow fortune have ever borne a royal heir? The prince cooed and babbled, his face lighting up with joy at my sight. I addressed the soldiers below the jade dais. Why have calamities plagued us these past 2 years? Because the ruler lacks benevolence. He even seeks to exterminate the national preceptor who prays for the people's welfare. If you uphold such an emperor, Zhonghuai will only face endless natural disasters and man-made calamities. The soldiers exchanged glances, their resolve wavering. No matter how formidable their weapons, they could not withstand floods and droughts. Every soldier had a wife and children waiting for them. They fought on the battlefield precisely to secure a peaceful life for their families. Yet since Xiaowing ascended the throne, heavy taxes and oppression had left everyone living in fear. This year, it seemed even the heavens could bear it no longer, unleashing frequent calamities. Their sole hope and refuge was the divine maiden, the imperial preceptor. Only Lu Anning could truly turn misfortune into fortune for them. Yet now, the emperor sought to eradicate even such an auspicious figure. The soldiers' hearts were already unsettled. I declared loudly, but if you pledge your allegiance to me, I shall ensure the Central Huai region enjoys favorable winds and rains, and the nation prospers with its people at peace. No sooner had the words left my mouth than the dark clouds parted. The sun rose high behind me, bathing me in golden light. I shed my ceremonial robe, revealing a deep golden-hued imperial robe. The soldiers below the platform dropped their weapons, kneeling and shouting, "May the divine maiden protect us." Long live the imperial preceptor. The divine maiden protects us. Long live the imperial preceptor. The divine maiden protects us. Long live the imperial preceptor. Holding my jade scepter, I pointed at the 3 figures below, the incompetent emperor, the demonic concubine, and the traitorous minister. Execute them by hanging. A mountainous roar erupted in unison, "Hang them! Hang them! Hang them!" That day, beneath the prayer platform, Xiaowing was beheaded. The Wen siblings, one hanged, the other hacked to pieces. The prince did not weep. He merely chuckled, watching his father, mother, and uncle descend into hell. I kissed the prince's forehead. When Xingro was barren by fate, yet I needed a child to play today's move. Children are gifts from heaven. I raised him by my side and smoothly ascended to become regent and imperial preceptor. This was also the purpose behind my support for Wen Xingro as crown prince consort. I needed a child to legitimize my claim to the dragon throne. When the crown prince turned 6, heaven, following its mandate, reclaimed him. I ascended the throne without hindrance, becoming empress. From that day forward, Zhonghui truly enjoyed peace and prosperity, with favorable winds and rains, thriving under the admiration of its subjects. My rebirth and phoenix-like ascent, Lu Anning's, was thus fully realized at this moment. The story concludes. Thank you all for your companionship. See you in the next chapter.